Today's episode is brought to you by Hidden House Coffee. Go check out their locations here in Orange County, California, or get some coffee delivered to your house at hiddenhousecoffee.com. Welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. We are having a special episode today. We are not in our studio, as you can see.
Clearly.
We are at Rise Up Kings in Argyle, Texas. We were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to fly out here to Rise Up Kings and record with their equipment. So if everything looks a lot better, it's because it is a lot better. And we're just excited to be here. But I'm Jordan.
And I'm Ben, and today's special guest is Mr. Skylar Lewis. Fun fact, we've spent a little bit of time together, which we don't usually do with podcast guests prior. We like to do it post. But super thankful for you. We were talking about how I've been following you for a while, and if you are a believer, we think these are sometimes God things, and very honored to be here. Rise Up Kings is something that I'm going to have all three of us that are here right now go through. But I got to start running first because I'm out of shape.
Oh, dude, we have 350-pound guys go through it. We had a 75-year-old guy go through it a couple weeks ago. So yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Our videographer should be okay then.
I don't know.
Oh man, but Skylar's done a lot of things. I'm gonna obviously let you intro yourself, but he's an author, business owner, CEO, builder of things. I mean, like I said, you caught my attention, and as we were saying at lunch, there's a lot of people out there that like to just talk, and nothing wrong with it, but sometimes too much talk is talk, and I'm more of a guy that likes to see action, and we are honored to be here with you. So Mr. Skylar, thank you, and just please introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. We always say you can go in depth as you want or not, so it's up to you.
Yeah, man, excited that you guys flew out here. It's as I got a chance to connect with both of you and your videographer that won't be able to make it to the event. We had a great time connecting, man. You guys have some good energy. You guys are doing some really big stuff. So super cool. Very, very excited to be on the podcast. And yeah, man, I got a wild journey, as I'm sure all of us do. And so part of my background is I'm an entrepreneur. I started businesses when I was 12 years old. I love growing things. I love scaling. I love building. And that all stemmed from a lot of insecurity, I believe, as a kid. So I grew up in a little trailer, a little mobile home park out in Hemet. You guys know where Hemet's at?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So I grew up in Hemet, and so I grew up in this little mobile home park, man. I used to just look up at the ceiling, just wondering, like, hey God, like, how do I get out of this place? Like, how do I go create some success where I can be significant, like I can be somebody. And so my thought, the vision, or the path was entrepreneurship. So I started all kinds of small businesses when I was 13, 14. I mean, I had a spray tan business when I was like 17. That was an unusual business. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't really share that one that much.
In Hemet, it might be a good thing.
In Hemet, it was a good way to meet girls. No, just kidding. But so all kinds of stuff. So I eventually struggled with entrepreneurship, but created some success. Then I met this girl at a little dance club bar in Temecula. You guys familiar with Temecula too? Yeah. There was like this place called Iron Walk, and so I meet this girl, and I watch her on the dance floor. I'm like, oh, that girl's pretty hot. And so I end up walking over to her, kind of work my magic, do a little move. I did the takeaway. So I walked up. I could tell she was into me, and then I'm like, oh, I got to go. And I walked away. But she grabbed me. And then we ended up dancing all night long. And so fell in love with this woman. And what was interesting was that, like, I knew she was the one I was going to marry. Like, hands down, I'm like, this is the freaking one. Like, she's beautiful. She's super successful, right? I was about 22, 23 at that time. And so I was all in, made a big deal, committed to her to be my, like, exclusive girlfriend. And then I ended up, about 4 or 5 months into that, somewhere in that range, I get Jessica's out, like, winning awards at a company she was working for, and I get a text message from this girl who is my ex-girlfriend, and she says, hey, do you want to meet up? And so I get this adrenaline rush that just runs through my body. I'm like, oh crap. And so I end up saying yes, even though I know I'm going to marry this girl, I've committed that I would be exclusive. I was all in on her. So I ended up going and cheating on Jessica. I hooked up with this girl down the street, horrible deal. And I ended up causing a tremendous amount of pain and suffering on my wife, pain and suffering for my life. Like all of that was a huge check-in moment because I shared it with her.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't share that stuff with their wives. And so I shared it with her because I wanted to be the best version of myself in the marriage. Like I wanted to live in transparency and truth. And I really believe that the things that we hold us. The things that we keep in the dark, keep us in the dark. Like, so there's a lot of men that are stunted because they're not living in the light. They're not living in truth. And so I ended up sharing it, but which was a massive check-in. And it all ties back though to just how I grew up, man. I grew up poor. I grew up with insecurities. And one of the biggest things that led to, I believe, this level of this cheating on the woman that I cared about the most was struggle with pornography. So I found my first porn magazine when I was 12. And I dove and went headfirst into pornography, like just got addicted to it. Even though I thought I was a confident kid, I really wasn't. It was this, what's interesting, man, is I had a guest on here this morning and he talks about this guy was an ex-NFL player struggling with pornography through his NFL career. Yeah. Like he's got everything, the wife, the kids, the life, everything, and yet porn still had a grip on him. It's really interesting how lust and porn can do some damage like that. And so that was the thing that permeated my life from 12 years old up into my teens, up into my adult years, and even into my relationship with Jessica, which all culminated to that moment of cheating where I had to do some deep self-reflection, like, and I had to check in, like, is this the man I'm going to be? The guy that cheats, the guy that struggles with lust, the guy that struggles with pornography, the guy that's really not showing up for his family. Like am I going to be this guy, or is something going to change? And I think from that moment, I made a massive decision that I was going to live a more intentional life as a man in all areas. And so that's where I started playing with the term, the term 4 pillars, which is faith, family, fitness, and finances. And so I started to design my life around those 4 pillars. And so where God was number 1, family was number 2, fitness and my health was number 3, and then finances or my business was number 4. And then putting focus. And so I started getting guys together. We started getting guys together to go be intentional. So I got a group of guys. We started tracking those things on how we could be intentional daily. Like, am I doing something nice for my wife every day? Am I working out and being physically fit? Am I reading the Bible or praying or doing something spiritually? And am I doing what needs to be done in my business? And am I doing those daily? And then eventually that led to what we have now, which is Rise Up Kings, where we've had thousands of guys go through that are all living kind of intentional, and very, very intentional lives, and then have stepped into a new level of healing and freedom inside their past. Because what most people don't realize, our past has dictated who we are today.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
85% of our belief systems stem from the ages of 8 to 12 years old. So what happens is we have grown men, right, that are really programmed. They got programmed as a 10-year-old, as a 12-year-old, as a 14-year-old. And so very rarely does anybody ever go back and actually go check in to, like, what programming happened, because it's not happening intentionally. It's all happening through the subconscious. And so you're not intentionally thinking, I'm going to look at money this way. I'm going to look at women this way. It's all just programmed. And now we have 30, 40-year-old guys that are running around off of old school programming. Like your phone, you update them, right? I get an iPhone update, right? Every couple months.
Right.
But a lot of dudes, they haven't updated their software, their old belief systems, like what runs them. And so a big part of what we do is helping guys shift to what shift their mindsets to actually update their operating system. But that's kind of where it started. It started from just my mess became my message, right? The thing that I struggled with the most became the thing that I now share and support guys on creating freedom. And I forgot a bunch of other stuff around scaling businesses and all kinds of stuff, but I feel like yeah, everybody can grow a business. So this is the stuff that really matters. Like, how do we treat our wives? How do we be in relationship with other people? At the end of the day, it's not going to be how much success you created. I really believe it's going to be about the impact and the relationships that you kept inside of your life. It's not, you'll never look back and say, I wish I could have grown a bigger business.
Yeah,
it's going to be, man, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids.
Yeah.
I wish I would have spent more time with my friends like you guys are doing.
Yeah. I mean, we try to go for it.
There's so many amazing things in what you just said. Like, the first thing I want to pull out real quick is saying that you're like the things you struggle with the most, the darkest part of
what the things that you hold end up holding you.
Right.
So the things that we have to own it more than it owns us. So in life, there's a lot of things that own people. It could be drugs, addiction, alcohol. So if it owns you, you got to own it more than it owns you. So hiding things when you hide that stuff, it ends up owning you. Right. You may not realize it, but it takes up energy in your physiologically, it takes up energy. Yeah,
that was fantastic the way you put that. I mean, I just shared on the last podcast that it was the first time I shared it with anyone outside of my marriage, but I had admitted to my wife, I was like, hey, I struggled with pornography, and I struggled with pornography at the beginning of our marriage, while we were married. And I got that from, I forget which podcast I was listening, but I was listening to a podcast, and there was a man that was talking about that. And I was like, in that moment, I felt like God empowered me. He's like, hey, that's you. And he's like, if you really want a stronger marriage, if you really want to be the guy that follows me, if you really want to be the man after my own heart, then there's things in your life that you need to reveal and you need to deal with, because it's going to make you stronger. And that was one of them. And it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. And I don't want to take this, take away from you, because
we're all here together to learn and grow, man. Yep.
But it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life, because my wife and I, even at that point, had a fantastic marriage throughout the entire thing. And to go to her and knowingly break her heart. To tell her, like, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, if you go out and tell your wife that you struggle with pornography, you're gonna knowingly break her heart. Like, that's just, but you have to own it. Like, that's part of being a man, is like saying, hey, if I really want to hold myself to these standards and want to be the best version of myself, be the best man I can be, I have to own the things that I'm struggling with, so that they don't own me, like you just said.
Most men hide, so that's the deal. And so I work with a ton of men, and most men hide. They're hiding what's really going on inside them. They're secretive with certain things. Like, we want to live in the light. Like, that's where the most powerful man is the man that has nothing to hide. Yeah. So, like, I have nothing to hide. I've shared my deepest, darkest secrets with people. And so I have nothing to hide. And so I've learned to live in the light. Like, so if there's an opportunity where I can be transparent with my wife, I'm going to choose transparency. I mean, I don't really share this often, but I had a dream about somebody that we both knew, another woman, and I'm like, I felt called to share with my wife that I dreamed about another woman that we both know. Like, it was a big deal, man. And so I want to live in transparency. So if I struggle with something, I'm going to bring it up and live in the light, versus the normal guy. He's going to hide. He's going to hide the things he messes up on. He's going to hide the things he does wrong. He's going to hide his fears. He's going to hide his insecurities. Most men hide, but man, that's not where you gain power. Like, a man that hides, it kills your power. So power is found when we can be in resolve with ourselves, and where we're clear that there's nothing I'm hiding. Like, there's so much power that's gained from living in the light, versus being secretive, or which would otherwise be known as like hiding. Yeah.
Well, that's a testament to both of your characters, but it's a lot harder to obviously live in the light, right? And I think a lot of people will naturally relate that, because the three of us here are Christian men. They would naturally relate that to, well, it's easy for you guys. It's part of your Christian belief. And what we like to tell people, or like what I like to say, is like, yeah, it's part of our Christian belief, but man, don't get this twisted. Like, living the life of a follower of Jesus is the hardest decision you'll ever make. And it makes things like coming out to your wife and telling them the truth the actual hard thing. It's so much easier to hide things, to brush it under a rug, and to put on this exterior of, I got it all figured out. Because us men don't like to be vulnerable, because vulnerable is seen as weakness. But as I'm getting older, and even listening to stories like yours, Skylar, and when you said that on the podcast, it makes me realize, like, as we get older and as I mature more in my faith and as a man, vulnerability is actually coming from a place of strength. And
It takes courage.
It does. And to be able to come out and say something to your wife about a dream, like, dude, that takes balls, you know, and that is so much more powerful.
So we need to be willing, and this is where relationships come into play, right? So at the end of the day, as men, there's probably a lot of men listening to this, right?
Yeah.
We're looking to find significance in some way. We're looking to prove to the world that we're worthy. A lot of guys have worthiness deep down. So for me, it was growing up in a trailer park. It was seeing other friends that were more successful. I used to go to the food bank. So it was instilled in me this like worthiness hole. And so I looked to fill it with success. And I got good at it, man. I did a great job building some really successful companies. But it didn't work. I remember I made the most money. We had grown a company to in 2014 to about $4 million in revenue, but it was we had really good margins. We had made $1.4 million in net income in 1 year.
Fantastic margins.
Up California, you know how that is. I ended up paying $700,000 in taxes. We're in the 53% tax bracket.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, I thought I would be excited, but I remember looking at our P&L and I felt like a gut check happen, and it sent me into a funk, like a full-on depression. So counterintuitive. I had my house in La Cresta, 5,500 square foot house. I had 5 acres. I had, making over $1 million a year net income, like our first kid, everything I thought that would make me happy. But man, it still didn't fill that void and that gap. And so I found that when I started to truly live a life on purpose, like for something greater than myself, that like for the King of Kings, for God, that was the transformational moment for me. Like that even though I had sinned and struggled and had so much brokenness, there was grace that was given to me, and it was just it was a beautiful thing that caused me to want to live a life on purpose. And so a lot of guys, man, they're ambitious, they're looking to prove significance, that stuff's not gonna fill that's not going to make you feel, it's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
I want to go back to, since you were on this subject, but with the amount of men that you encounter, right? Because obviously our goal here is men. Obviously we want, a woman or a wife to maybe see it or hear it and nudge their husband or a friend. But in your experience so far in doing Rise Up Kings, is there been a common denominator that you guys find that causes us males to kind of to have these insecurities?
It's kind of built into men, actually.
Yeah.
It's real interesting. Very rarely do you find a man that has no insecurities. I mean, the guy that I had on the podcast earlier today, right, NFL player, but like typically the guys that have been most successful actually usually have some of the deepest insecurities.
Yeah.
Because they're driving, they want to find a way to be significant. So they're building, they're scaling, they're sacrificing time with their family. They're working 10 hours a day, and they don't realize, like, they say their family's number one, but based on the results, their family's not number one. So it's like, well, why am I doing that? It's because you're trying to fill a void of significance. And so it's built into men. It's built into our DNA, into our genes, where we have this desire to be significant. So there's not necessarily a common thing that I think causes insecurity. I mean, there are multiple things. It could be bullying. It could be if you've struggled with any kind of insecurity as a kid. It could be having a bad breakup with a woman. I mean, basically, if you had anything as a child, and we do a lot of psychological work, like inside some of our programs and emotional work. But if you had any sort of what we call trauma, and trauma can be overused, but any difficult thing, a bad breakup that really affected you, a friend that backstabbed you, I mean, all kinds of stuff, that's going to play into insecurity, into your adulthood. But what men do, though, is they mask it.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of men that put on fronts like, oh, dude, everything's good. But at their core, underneath the surface, is this insecurity that they're not even aware is there. Yet they did such a beautiful job masking it. And I did a great job, man. I had a beautiful wife, the house, the cars, the money, millions. I had all of it. But I basically built this world around me to prove to myself. That's like, I did it, but I didn't realize it was all because I had this insecurity.
Yeah. And we talk about that often too. And again, the more I'm realizing, we said it at lunch, but I'm gaining so much value for my own self personally, as a man, as a husband, as a father, when we listen to these stories. And I think a lot of us, even though we are so different, are also similar. And I think it's important for conversations like this to be had, because like you said, from the outside looking in, you know, someone would look at you and be like, oh, he's got it figured out. It's so easy for him to say these things from, you know, his platform, his podcast, because he's got money, he's got a wife, he's got the house, he's got the cars, he's got the kids. But when you strip it all away and you really look internally and you're deciding whether or not you want to either live on purpose, live in the light, or are you going to continue to keep this front? Like, so many of our guests have either dealt with an addiction, right? What you're talking about with success, it's an addiction. You know, all of these things can be related back to a form of an addiction, or like you said, if you can't control it, it's going to control you. Like Jordan, you with your porn. Me, I struggled with a lot of different things. I don't think I had a particular one. I struggled with honestly trying to figure out who the heck I was after I came home from the Marines. Like I didn't know who I was. It was I always had this is the guy, this is what he's going to do. If you need something, he'll figure it out. But that identity is not who I was, and trying to figure that out. And still, you know, as we progress as husbands and fathers and business leaders and stuff like that in your community, I feel like if we lose that hunger to want to figure it out and want to strive and constantly do better, we're going to probably find ourselves back in a spot of something tormenting us or an addiction creeping up. And I think it's interesting that, you know, you're referring back to the childhood development and ages 8 to, what did you say, 12, 14?
8 to 12, sometimes
8 to 12?
14 is where a lot of our belief systems are instilled. Once you're 14, 15, 16, you start to be a lot more conscious of what you're bringing into your mind and what you want to accept as a belief and not. But at that age before, whatever you watched, whatever you saw, whatever you listened to, whatever your parents said, if your teacher said, hey, you're not very good at math, right? Hey, do you have a problem talking? Next thing you know, that's instilled as a belief system that I'm not good at math. I struggle to communicating.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy, whatever it may be. If someone says, hey, you're stupid, you literally start thinking, and then there's this small voice in your head that the question, maybe I am actually a little bit stupid. Maybe my intelligence isn't that high. And so then you have that as an adult until you go and do some work around that. Right. So, yeah.
That's a crazy fact.
I just think the power of going back to you saying that, in my own mind, immediately started going through, okay, what happened to me around those same ages? I'm like, oh my gosh. And that was like, I think that's such a great thing that men should think about and process. But not only that, the fatherhood component of being intentional as a father during you should always be intentional as a father, but especially in those age ranges, especially us, because our kids are creeping up towards those age ranges. Now it's like, okay, am I checking what I'm saying? Because it's the things that my 4-year-old and 3-year-old catch up on. My wife and I never just we say, hey, we're not allowed to say hate in our house. I don't know. My wife came up with it, and I was like, all right, we'll stick with it. Yeah. And my wife said something. She was like, oh yeah, I hate that. And then from the way back 3rd row of our expedition, my daughter yells, Mommy, we don't hate. And she was like, oh. And I was like, they're always listening.
They are, man.
Always listening.
We have to be incredibly careful with our words. So our words have more power than what people realize. Our words can bring life, or they can bring death. And so we must filter. Like, people think, oh, I want to be unfiltered. Dude, you will do so much damage to your kids if you are unfiltered. I'm fairly filtered, meaning I'm really thoughtful with the words and the language that I use, because I know the consequences that it has on people.
Yeah.
Like, the words I say, what I say to somebody will impact their belief systems. And so I was having a conversation. We're reading this book, not Diary of a Wimpy Kid, not that one. There's a book by Jocko. Anyway, this kid in this book is my son's 12. I have a 9 and 12-year-old. And so I'm reading this book to my 9 and my 12-year-old. And this talks about this wimpy kid that's like figuring out, his uncle comes home. It's this Navy SEAL, or his uncle comes and stays with him. He's this Navy SEAL guy. And this Navy SEAL is like helping him not be a wimp, basically. And so I'm always I want to train my boys up to be strong, to be warriors, right? To be loving and thoughtful and warriors, though. And so I watched, my older son could be a little lazy sometimes. And so that night, like, they did a little push-up contest after the book, of course, after reading something like that. So they're doing push-ups. And then I watched my son just kind of like give up on something. And I'm like, dude, you're being a wimp, man. Come on, push through. And then and then we went back to his room to go put him to bed. And then I noticed he was like a little emotional, or something was going on with him. I'm like, interesting. I didn't fully see it then, but I noticed something was off. And so I go lay in bed. I'm laying in bed with Jessica, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, shoot, I just called him a wimp. Like my 12-year-old boy that's trying to be a man, right? That's trying to step into this. That's making me emotional. It's funny. I want him to, I did it for his good, but I just like literally called my little guy that wants to be strong, that's trying to be strong, right, a wimp. And so I'm like, dude, and so I'm laying there with Jessica. I think they've been in bed at like 30 minutes. The kids have been in bed, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I gotta say something. And so I go walk out of bed. I go up to his room. My other son's asleep. I'm like, Brennan, you awake? And he's like, yeah. So I go lay next to him, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, hey, dude, just want to let you know what I meant by that. And I'm sorry for saying that you're a wimp.
Yeah.
And I did it because I wanted you to be strong, but that was an ineffective way of doing that, man. My bad. I just want to say, my bad. I apologize. And then we had a super, really impactful, deep, just intimate moment there in bed. It was really powerful, man. Probably the most, because he's a little bit of a harder kid to connect with. He closes his heart. And so it was just a really powerful moment. But that's the power of our words. And if we're not thoughtful with the things we say to our kids, it can do lifelong damage.
Oh, for sure.
Well, because we deal with guys all day long that come to our events, and they'll recall the things their dad said to them. The one word, the thing that, like, it'll just come up through our process. And so after seeing that for years, I know one word spoken wrong can sit with a boy into his manhood for his entire life.
Yeah. And my daughter.
I love that you said that, because we had said it in your office earlier when we were talking, and it's those little moments that, you know, when we had Hollow on, that's over there. That's not going to do the Rise Up Kings.
No, he's doing it for sure. He's doing it for sure.
He said, I'm a new dad every day. And it's like, as soon as you said that moment, that clicked in my head. I'm like, hey, you know, there's going to be those moments where we just don't quite get it just right. And it's going to happen. Like, nobody's perfect. But the fact that you took the ownership of that, processed it, and go, you know, I'm going to go back to my son, and I'm going to, because imagine how much more meaningful that is, that he's like, hey, my dad said this. Then he came back and admitted that he wasn't right about it. He told me what he actually meant by it. And now we got to have a meaningful conversation about it. That's like, I know now for him, that's a core memory versus a defeatist mindset belief that could have potentially happened.
It was a close one. And I mean, and the thing is, kids, dads, we're gonna jack up.
Yeah.
We're gonna say stuff. We're gonna do stuff. We're gonna maybe spank our kid a little too hard one time, or we're gonna do some stuff where we jack up. And the kids are gonna it is what it is. They'll find they're gonna find their path. And I want to still be as intentional as I can.
Yeah. Well, the power of words. And if you're listening to this and you're in that spot where you have messed up and you didn't go and take the time to apologize, honestly, it's never too late. And you saying that I had the same exact story with my daughter, and this is recent. Hollow and I have talked about it because they go to school together, and my daughter is loved by a lot of people. She's a special girl. And recently she's sick. She's going through some crazy, I don't know, some just things that are bringing out this attitude and these mannerisms and these words and this almost like anger and this rage that is inside of her. And my wife and I, we don't know what to do. You know, we've tried different steps. We've talked to different mentors. We've done all these things. We've tried to, teach her how to be okay with the anger, but how to react. But, at the same time, she's 6. And she was talking to me to my wife one night. I was at jiu-jitsu, so I wasn't home. And she tells my wife, she's like, I know I'm not these things, but you guys are constantly saying that, why is it that your little brothers can do this, but I can't? And then I'm about to get emotional now, because then she goes, remember that one time Dad called me a brat? And I was like, oh, so my wife's telling me. And then I get home and I was like, I do remember that exact time. And the difference is, and it doesn't make me better, and I'm not saying I was right, I was wrong, but I said, her name's Cash. I was like, Cash, you were acting like a brat. And what I meant by, I was trying to use it as like a, hey, like quit doing that, you know? And what I didn't realize is that stuck with her. It was weeks down the line. And so that morning I woke her up, and we spent every Tuesday morning together before school. I got her dressed and we left, and I'm like talking to her and I brought it up. I was like, hey, sweetheart, you know, Dad messed up. Do you remember when I said that you were acting like a brat? She's like, yeah. She already obviously knew. She's like, Mom told you? And I was like, yeah. I said, but I want you to understand, like, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And I started, like, honestly, I started crying in the car, and she kind of was just like, wait, what's going on? Like, are you good? And so it just became a thing where I realized, like, if I don't own that, or if we men and fathers don't own that, we're never going to be able to, like, fix these things. And if we know that age range is there, which is very powerful that you said that, if you're a parent, like, we should probably be really aware of that.
It could be earlier too, but it's like 6 years old, right? And what's interesting is they'll even if you don't directly call them a name, they're going to hear something different, right? We don't hear what's said, we hear our interpretation of what's said.
I mean, it jacked me up, but I took that time as a teaching moment. Like you said, my 6-year-old, we're driving to school and I'm crying and she's trying to cheer me up, and it's like, Dad, it's okay. Like, I understand now. And I was like, yeah, but, you know, I just want you to know that I should apologize. And it's just one of those things that I think we need to be aware of. Yeah. And, you know, something I wanted to ask you too, because I think there's a lot of value, is as a parent and as you were building these things, one of the questions Jordan and I like to ask is, taking all of these principles and all the things you've learned, like, what to you makes a good dude and a good dad?
So what it means to be a good dude, good dad, I would say a good dude would be a combination of these two things. Number one is someone that truly loves other people. Right? There's a lot of people that have been tainted and hurt by people, and so their love for people has dissipated. Yeah. So a good dude is someone that loves people, loves other human beings, like cares for other. And the second piece is a man that lives by integrity. So the reason so many people have been hurt is because of a lack of integrity and so the relationship that they have with their word. So promise is the thing that binds everything. God and our relationship, like as a Christian, everything's built on promise, right? It's this, the promises in the Bible, everything is built on promise. It's all built on word. And so the relationship that we have with our word is one of the most important relationships we can have. And so meaning, do we value our word? Are we a man of our word? When we say we'll be there at 2:30, do we show up at 2:30? When we say we're going to do something for our kids, do we actually do it? Like, can the people around us count on us? Yeah. Can our wife count on us? If we say we're going to do the dishes or be home on time after the long day at work, do we show up or do we make an excuse? And so, again, we're not perfect at that, but a good dude is very intentional with his word and the things that he gives his word to. So integrity in that respect is the most important thing that a man should be focused on, and the way that he loves other human beings. So and what is love? Love is sacrifice. Love is willing to do something for somebody else versus seeking out your own pleasure. Hedonism is the pursuit of pleasure. Right? And so we have a lot of people that their own primary desire is to go find things that make them feel good. I want to build a business so I can get this, or I want to go have a nice car so I feel. Everything's around their pleasure. But man, a hedonistic person will do a tremendous amount of damage. That's what's happening with a lot of the younger generation. Like even Andrew Tate kind of followers, right? It's focused on, hey man, you need to go create success, pursue, versus serve, give. Right, which is the mindset that's the opposite of hedonism is somebody that instead of pursuing their own things, they're out pursuing other people and serving other people. Yeah. So life becomes less about them and more about other people. And by the way, that's the best way to run a business, is when you are caring more about your employees than you are even your own personal success. Yeah. Because then if you can get your employees to care about the company more than their own, and the company's caring about their best interest, it builds a beautiful relationship. But you can tell when a CEO or an owner is they're in it for themselves. Yeah. And employees can sniff that. Yeah. Like people can sniff it when you're in it for yourself. And so I'd say love and integrity makes a good dude, and a good dad I'd say intentionality, the number one thing, like being intentional with each day, each moment. Like yesterday I had a super busy day with all kinds of stuff, and I took out time in the morning to go play football with my boys outside. Like found a way. I sacrificed part of my workout so I could make sure I was intentional with my boys.
Yeah.
So that intentionality, that word should be like freaking tattooed on every man's arm. Like, how do I be intentional with my kids today?
Yeah.
So guys, listen to this, right? What's one thing you can do intentional and in an intentional way for your kids today? Like, how do you make tonight a very intentional night with your boys or your daughters? Like, what can you do? Is it doing dinner with them? Is it going and playing outside instead of drinking a beer on the couch?
Yep.
Like, what can you go do to be intentional today to make their night great? Like the best night they've had all week. How could you make it the best night that they've had all week?
And guys, you got to remember too, is like, it doesn't need to be a massive gesture, right? Especially, I'm going to speak to our age group kids. We have, 6.5 and under. All they want is you. Something as simple as getting on their level on the ground and just being there, letting them crawl on you. Play some cars, but the intentionality behind it is what matters. And if you have a hard time finding intentionality, I mean, that's a little bit of a different discussion, and you should probably look a little more inward, but the intentionality component is in everything. You probably wouldn't do that to your job, right? You probably wouldn't do that to your rent. You probably wouldn't do that to your boss, but why would you do that to your wife and your kids? That's a question I think that needs to be answered, and you got to look through it.
Yeah, kids, I once heard kids spell love Time, and it's not, I don't even think that it's time. I think that it's present intentional time. And I think it was your podcast that I was listening to that you said it's not about only that, it's about doing things that they want to do. Not forcing them into things that I want to do, but things that they want to do.
It's a good learning lesson for me. Like, how do I get them to do what I want to do? I'm like, nah, that's me being selfish again.
Yeah.
Like, selfishness, man, just permeates human beings. And so I'm like, no, okay, how do I go do something that they wanted? That's good.
Isn't it crazy that masculinity, though, I'm gonna ask our last question in a second, but masculinity, people are craving masculinity, and they think that it's toxic masculinity because they do see stuff like Andrew Tate, that it's me.
Instant
But
gratification.
true masculinity and things that we're talking about all the time, like true masculinity is give. It's the exact opposite of what you think it is. It's go chase that. It's like, no, give it up and let God handle it.
I have a little definition of masculinity that I'm working on, because there's a lot of definitions. This one, masculinity right here. Okay. So I have it as masculinity is carrying the weight of responsibility to provide, protect, and lead those around them. So it's carrying the weight, right? A masculine man is built to shoulder responsibility. Women are different. I mean, they have responsibilities, but we're built differently for stress. I was talking to a doctor yesterday that we had on our podcast, and he says the female body is designed completely different in the way it responds to stress. So a man's job is to remove stress from their wives, yet so many guys do, they're adding stress to their wives, right? So a man's job's to remove it, though, because her health will be negatively affected, much worse than a man's will. So our job is to carry the burden, right? To carry responsibility. It doesn't always have to be a burden, but to carry responsibility and to lead, to provide, and to protect. Like if we lock in those things, we can step up as a masculine man. Like, am I leading in my family? Am I protecting my wife and my kids from what they shouldn't be seeing? Am I protecting them emotionally, spiritually, mentally? And am I providing? Am I being the one that's providing for them? And it could be providing financially, but it could be providing love and care and connection to them too.
And comfort,
That all leads us to, you gave us a lot of steps, but one question that we always ask is, what's one actionable step that someone can take today if they're looking to be a better man, a more intentional man, a good dude, or a good dad?
It's good. First thing that comes to mind, I'll give two. First things that comes to mind is if you are not beholden to something greater than yourself, you're going to end up doing a lot of damage to those around you. Meaning, if you're following if you're your own guide for your life, that's a recipe for failure, because we're not as good as we think we are. So spending time living a life that is more than just more about something else than it is you. So I would say spending time in the Word. So spending time in the Bible, for me personally, not everyone's going to be a Christian listening to this, but that's the one thing that grounds me, that keeps me closely connected to the things that are most important. So spending time in the Word is like daily for me is the thing that helps me to love others better. It helps me to live better. It helps me to be more morally straight. It helps me to produce more results. There's a lot of wealth principles in the Bible. Like, it helps me just to be a better overall man. So like it's the manual for life, right? And so I say that's key. That's like the most important thing that I would recommend to every human being. But I know everybody's not there, or not committed to Christ. And so I would say the biggest thing that one could do is to join a community of guys that are doing some stuff together like this. So you can do life alone, or you can do it with a bunch of people. And so whether it's at a church or it is hanging out with you guys, go find a group of guys that are working their butt off to be better husbands, better fathers, better businessmen, just live better lives. If you can, that's been my greatest growth that I've had, has been through my associations. Like, I level up from associations. If I can get around other guys that are working out daily, chances are I'll probably start working out daily. If I can get around guys that are like really focusing on being intentional, when I call them, they're like, hey man, I can't talk, I'm with my daughter, we're doing a date night. I'm like, oh, okay. So if I can be around those guys more, it levels me up. So find a group of dudes. There's tons of communities out there of guys. Go find some guys that are living intentional lives.
Yeah. I love that one. We're not designed to be alone, man. We're not. Jordan likes to talk about that, but we were created to be together and to do life together. And for Jordan and I, the biggest goal for this is to genuinely show, real guys having real conversations without any fluff, right? Like, stories do matter. They're impactful, they're powerful, and they can genuinely shape the way we do things and the way we implement change or growth, or take things from stories that we don't like and make sure we don't do those in our own lives. And so we're very thankful for you, thankful for the time that you spent with us. We know you're busy. I'm excited to go through Rise Up Kings. Hollow said he's going to go on a diet before we go, but we're really excited to go through it.
You need to learn how to run, bro.
I need to learn how to run because I don't run anymore. But again, thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate it. This is a fantastic opportunity. You have an amazing studio here, an amazing facility, the whole thing. If you guys haven't checked it out, I'm going to put everything down below. Rise Up Kings. If you want to give us a quick high level, I know we got to get going, but quick high level of what you do, and then that's it.
And your Instagrams and all that fun stuff.
Great. Yeah, my Instagram is Skylar Lewis, SKYLAR Lewis, LEWIS, and then Rise Up Kings. You can just search those two things, and you'll find our stuff. And then, yeah, man, what Rise Up Kings is all about is just helping men level up. So it's the same stuff that you guys are passionate about. So we've created a proven process for that. Like, if they go through this event, it's a 3 to 4 day event, depending on which event, that they'll have an encounter with God. They will have a life-changing experience at a soul level. They will walk out better husbands, better fathers, and better professionals, like whatever career they're in. Like, they will level up. So that's really what it is. It's just a epic event. Like, you don't have, it's not like a tough mud or anything like that, but there's some physical components, there's some emotional, there's some spiritual, there's some mental components. We help expose stuff that's preventing guys from really truly stepping into their potential. Like, I want to see more men live lives of freedom, freedom from bondage, freedom from chains. And I want to see more men that are reaching their potential. There's a lot of guys that are operating under their potential. They're not even close to their God-given potential. I'd say most men, it drives me crazy just seeing what's possible. And so for guys that are hungry, then this community, this experience may be a good fit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
I'll link everything down below. I don't know which camera I'm supposed to look at, but thank you guys again for listening. We'll have all of Skylar and Rise Up King stuff down below. Go check it out. And remember, be a good dude, be a good dad.